12, something that Aaron Rodgers did not wear this year, out of respect for Joe Namath, which was a smart move by him, wearing number 8. He posted something yesterday on social media, Chris, just a couple of days after suffering the torn Achilles tendon that will wipe him out for all of the 2023 season. And the money line is this: the night is darkest before the dawn, I shall rise yet again, which tells me he intends to play next year. Now, who knows what decisions he'll make or not make between now and week 1 of the 2024 season. But in the aftermath of this injury, what I read from that post is he will be back in 2024.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you made me put down money, bet on it, I'd bet that Aaron Rodgers comes back as well. I mean, first off, I think he's very prideful in the fact of, like we talked about Tuesday, that, hey, is this really going to be the lasting image he wants to go out on in his NFL career and have this kind of imprinted in all the fans' brains that was, the last thing you remember? I don't think he's going to want to do that. I just think as a competitor, by itself, he's not going to want to go down like that. There's the money on top of that, like we talked about a little bit. The money that will be given or forfeited if he just retires. I don't care who you are. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's not easy to walk. He's rich, yeah, to walk away from $50 million. I mean, come on. Elon Musk wouldn't walk away from $50 million. So, that's huge money. So I think when you add all of that up, and then you also add into the fact that this team, primarily super talented, like we've talked about, it looks like it should be basically intact next year. They're young. They're just coming up the ranks right here. They've just built something. That's why Rodgers was so great. So from all those reasons, I would expect him to be back as well. I do, and I hope to see it. It's going to be a struggle and a journey, as we know, at age 40 dealing with that kind of injury.
He took what was it, like a $13 million? No, $35 million.
35, yeah.
$35 million less than he was due to make.
Right.
He got $36 million this year. He's due to make $38 million next year. So the way it was split up, it created the very real incentive to play 2 years, not one. So he's getting 74 over 2. He was supposed to get 105, 106, something like that. 108. Yeah, 108, 109 over 2. So took the big haircut and would reduce that 108 all the way down to 36 if he would retire. So I think he will be back. And like you said, he doesn't want that to be the way his career ends. That's not the way he wants to go out with that weird, bizarre, runs out with the flag, and then 4 snaps into the game, he's done, and he's never seen again. Here's Robert Saleh, coach of the Jets from yesterday, on whether he has discussed the future with Aaron Rodgers.
I haven't gone down that road with him. I mean, I'd be shocked if this is the way he's going to go out. But at the same time, for him, he's working through a whole lot of headspace things that he needs to deal with, and that will be the last thing I talk to him about.
Okay, I got 2 points to make. One is an old one, and the other one is a new one.
Okay.
Point 1.
Right.
I think their effort to find another quarterback is complicated by the question of whether and to what extent Aaron Rodgers is going to be around and involved the rest of the season, because he's an established personality who will be, if he's going to be around, meeting rooms, locker room, sideline. You bring in somebody else, whoever it may be, you have to factor in how that personality will or won't mesh with Aaron Rodgers. That's a real factor here, even if Rodgers is never going to play, because Rodgers is still the alpha. Rodgers is in charge. Rodgers is the guy who's trying to coax the most out of Zach Wilson. That's his pet project. Let's get the most out of Zach Wilson. So if they would bring in a Matt Ryan, Carson Wentz, Phillip Rivers, whoever. I had somebody suggest Drew Brees the other day. Whoever, that new quarterback, Aaron Rodgers dynamic has to be taken into account, because it's important that they get along. And it's important that the new quarterback doesn't try to come in and be the alpha over Rodgers, who can't do anything about it because he's not playing. Yeah. It's just a weird situation. That's why, another reason why I think it's better to just say, Zach is our guy. Let's get someone to be the backup, the true backup, not a competitor, not a veteran with name recognition, somebody who just comes in, to give us another name on the depth chart. So
Yeah,
I think
okay.
that's the smart play, given this possibility is going to be around. Second point.
Okay, all right. Let me
And I hadn't
comment off.
thought of
Let me
this.
comment
Go
off
ahead
of
and
that
react.
first. Okay.
React to that one.
Yeah, right.
All right.
Let me comment off of that. I hear you. They got to keep that in mind. There's a future here. Also, I think within that, like trying to figure out somebody that makes sense for Zach Wilson, and to the same point, not too strong. Not going to be overbearing that way. But like the back with the Rodgers thing there, who's going to really do that? Who is it? None of those names are going to come in there and out alpha Aaron Rodgers or anybody. I mean, first off, all those guys know who one of the kings of like football history is. It's Aaron Rodgers. So I don't think he's going to have that issue with any of those guys, especially because all those guys you mentioned, they can't play anymore. I mean, they can be on a team, but like playing good, no, that's just not going to happen. And Rodgers, as we saw, just enough in training camp and just a little bit in the preseason, he's still got game. So I don't know if there's anybody out there other than Tom Brady, right, who could mess up that balance too egregiously to where it would maybe screw up with Rodgers. Now Zach Wilson, okay, maybe that has to be watched a little bit. That would be my 2 cents there, Mike. But yeah, there is a future nonetheless with Rodgers that has to be taken into account here, and who you want in the building and for how long and where it's all going to go. Yes.
Well, but part of that too is Rodgers is going to have opinions, presumably, on any of the names that they might bring in. What if he doesn't like Carson Wentz? He's heard a lot of stuff about Carson Wentz, doesn't like Carson Wentz, doesn't want Carson Wentz. He doesn't want him. The team thinks maybe that's the guy we should bring in. That's where it gets weird, where they've given Aaron Rodgers so much power and control, but he's not playing this year. So how much do you factor his wishes into what you do, knowing that you want him to come back next year? It's just a dynamic that is very real and very unusual. I don't think we've ever seen something like this, where we need to be sensitive to Aaron Rodgers' preferences and wishes because they want him to play next year. They don't want him to sour. They want the honeymoon to stay intact. They're just going to put a pin in it until 2024. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.